What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Daily Nonsense. On the show today, we are going to be talking about some updates to Topps Chrome, some updates eBay made to their 1099 forms, and one of the most expensive women's cards of all time in the WNBA has been sold. We are now just 2 days away from the National Sports Collectors Convention out in Chicago. And today's tip is that at the show, there's going to be tons of different cards at different price points. So if you're walking around the show and you're getting discouraged because you're not finding anything, whether you are trying to buy in the dollar boxes or you're trying to buy cards in the hundreds or in the thousands, there's going to be tons of cards. So just keep looking around. Even if at first you don't find the cards you're looking for, I'm sure that if you keep going, you'll find what you want. All right, so I've got some updates here from Topps Chrome. I spoke pretty positively about it, honestly, on one of the first episodes of this show, and I still think it's a really great product. Don't get me wrong here, but I have seen some of the criticism, and I want to talk about the criticism because I think some of it is valid, some of it maybe a little bit of a stretch, I think, but some of the stuff, there's just too many one of the big problems I think that I've seen kind of across the industry of everyone talking about it that I do agree with is that the checklist for the autos is just too big. There's like 160 autographs you can get from the boxes from a hobby box, and also the price at like $300 for a hobby box. I don't know. It just is not. It's hard to justify spending $300 on a box when you're only going to get one autograph. And especially when the autograph, I've seen people talk about random players that are in there. Like there was one rookie that literally has only played in 3 games, and he's in the minor leagues for the Pirates, I think, or I forget exactly what team. But I've seen some of that criticism. I definitely think I agree with that. The $300 for the box, I think, is the other big issue that a lot of people are seeing. I think it used to be 2 autographs per box, and they recently changed it. So, like the one autograph for $300, I don't know how you can really justify. I would be surprised unless you're pulling like a numbered autograph, like I would be surprised if any of the autographs from from a box are going to be $300. Like if you want to go out and spend $300, I unfortunately think there's going to be a much better way to do that than buying a box and hoping you're going to be able to pull a couple numbered cards and a good autograph. It's really, like I said, it's kind of hard to justify spending that amount of money on the box if you are, you're not getting into like a break, or you're not finding it with a better discount, or you're not buying one of the other versions that come with more autographs. I can see how all of these things are, I don't know, issues that people are having with the product, unfortunately. So that's kind of the big updates that I've seen. If there's more updates, I'll kind of keep talking about Topps Chrome. It is Topps Chrome season. Like it is one of the bigger releases. So there may be some more updates coming. I don't know for sure. But the other news, so there's 2 other pieces of news that I'm going to talk about. The other is that apparently there was something in some sort of bill that was put into the government that brought back the threshold for the 1099K forms through eBay. For quite some time, it was $20,000 or 200 items. It was pretty baseline. That was like what you're going to be looking for if you want to, if you're putting that money on your taxes. And I have a couple different takes here. I don't know. I think maybe this might be a hot take, but like you should probably be reporting all of the money that you're making with taxes to the IRS. It just like, because here's the thing with the IRS, I've worked in contract work, and sometimes I've owed a decent amount in taxes. If you declare everything and you get everything on there, they're much more lenient on paying the taxes versus like if you just don't file, you're going to get much larger penalties. So I would say also, if you're in that 20K range for price for money or 200 items, you really should be spending money to go talk to a CPA. They're going to give you the best advice. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial advisor whatsoever, not even close. So don't necessarily listen to me. Go to a tax person who knows all the rules, all the laws, and they're going to give you the info that you need. I would say just report it. I mean, worst case scenario, you're going to owe a little bit of money from taxes, but that's sort of the price of doing business. And that's one of the other pieces of this, and I want to talk about. The sports card industry is great because it's a good way to learn how to run a business. It's a good way to start without really any regulatory things within the industry that you have to worry about. So you can start a business. Anybody can do it. If you have a bank account, you got an eBay, you've got the social security number, you've got all of these things, you can start the business. So on one hand, that's really good. On the other hand, I think what ends up happening once people start that business within sports cards is they don't realize that there are things within business that you have to do, like paying money to taxes. Like this, just there are certain things that I think people look past when they are starting a business, like in the sports card industry, that if you are in that threshold of the 200 or the $20,000, you should be talking to a CPA. You should be talking to somebody who's actually going to give you professional advice. And there are probably people that are in the industry that have good advice, but I would say talking to the CPA is going to be the best advice you can get for stuff along those lines. I don't know. It's a weird thing that I see people complaining about like seller fees on eBay and other platforms, and it's like, yeah, that's just the price of doing business. So on one hand, sure, it's great. On the other hand, it's like I think it just leads to people not realizing the bit when you're running a business or you're doing business related things, there are fees, there are taxes you got to pay. It's kind of all together. And for some people it's going to be a hard lesson to learn, but I think after you kind of mess up once or twice, hopefully you'll learn a lesson. That's what I'll say about that. The last story we're going to talk about is there was a $660,000 Caitlin Clark 1 of 1 card that sold through Fanatics Collects. It was the flawless logo woman 1 of 1 autograph. And here's the thing. I wonder if the person that bought that card for $660,000 knew that it wasn't a game worn patch. I don't think that regulation, or at least I don't know. I mean, I don't think regulation will ever come to the sports card industry. Or maybe if it does, there's going to be a lot more bigger issues, I think, than game worn patches necessarily. But like, if I were to be regulating the industry, one of the first things that I would do would be getting rid of non-game worn and non-player worn patches. Like it is insane to me that Panini was able to come out with like what they were trying to sell a product for $30,000, which got down to $3,000 because it hit the floor. They're trying to sell a product that only has patches from like 1 or 2 players, but they couldn't invest the money to buy actual game worn or player worn patches from Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark, especially when you're coming out with like a logo card and an autograph card. Like, sure, yeah, they sign the cards, which is great, but like, something about these non-game worn patches, it just feels like people are being duped in a way, because the only way you would know if these cards don't have the patch on them is if you flip them over and you read the fine print on the back that says this is not associated with any game or player. And it's like, at what point like are we just going to have to say we're no more patches in products? I understand that, for Panini, for example, like their boxes say on average you're getting 1 autograph or 1 patch or whatever. So it's a way for them to come out with more product without really having to invest that much money. But like, the sports card industry and these companies are making so much money on these products. I don't understand why. I do understand because of money, but I don't understand why they can't invest in the product. Like, why can they not spend some of the money that they're making from this product and put actual game worn patches in there? Like, it would just make the card so much better. And it wouldn't, and this card maybe even goes for $1 million if it's a game worn patch. Like, if there's a way to associate the patch with a game or the player, there's probably a chance this is $1 million card. So I don't know. If someone's spending $600,000 on a card, realistically, they may or may not. I hope that they know that this isn't a game worn patch, but it feels like there are enough sales of these types of cards that are these game worn patches that like we need to figure out a way to get more real patches into these cards. Because this was double the price of Caitlin Clark's last most expensive card, which was $366,000, like a 1 of 1 select autograph that sold a couple months ago. And we're probably going to keep seeing these crazy cards for her. I mean, I'm wondering going forward with, I guess, maybe all of her rookie cards out now, which ones are going to be the ones that people want to buy? Like, are they the ones that like came out of products or came out of actual patches, or excuse me, actual packs, and not like they're like not the royalty product? I just don't. I don't. I know what Topps did with their Victor Wembanyama. Basically, they came out with the same thing. It was Mercury, and this is what they did for this product as well. So I don't know. I think that's, a lot of people spent money on this product. The least that they could do is put real patches in there. If they're going to come out with a product that is such a high value, invest some of the money that you made on Caitlin Clark cards and put some real patches in the products. I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit too much to ask.